We're set for Asia's fiercest cricket rivals to resume their battle. Yes, there is that other game on Sunday, but the weekend kickstarts with the two teams that always provide entertainment. Saturday morning, if you're in the subcontinent, strap in because Dallas is going to host Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka. And we build up to that game on Maruti Suzuki Arena, presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout in the company of Farvezz, Mahroof, and Tamim Iqbal. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. And yes, Farvezz, the irony isn't lost on us that we've put a Sri Lankan and a Bangladeshi together on a show that's called Timeout.
Okay. That's a very interesting name.
I like the way you started by saying fierce rivalry. Usually, a few years ago, it's always India-Pakistan. But for the last few years, ever since 2018, I'm sure Tamim Iqbal was part of it. It has become a fierce rival for certain reasons. And come the last World Cup, there's some incident happened. So I'm pretty sure Sri Lankans will be up for it. It's a must-win game for them to stay in the competition. They'd have to win somehow. And Bangladesh, mind you, yes, they had depleted a couple of their players, touch and go, leading up to the tournament. Not the ideal lead up with losing to USA, but still they got world-class players. So Sri Lanka will be mindful going into this game. Lots of pressure on Sri Lanka than Bangladesh, I should say.
Tamim, you've been part of some of these games. What's happened in these last 5 or 6 years that's produced this greater edge to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka contests?
It's very interesting now because it used to be the Nagin dance. And in the recent times, it has been different issues now. Started with the timeout and then the celebration after series win done by Sri Lanka and then done by Bangladesh. So it's interesting, it brings the best out of the players. I've been to that dressing room. I understand how it feels. We want to win. I'm sure Sri Lankan players want to win. So it will be an interesting game, and Sri Lanka has already played their first game. They got a heavy defeated by South Africa, where Bangladesh is playing their first game in the tournament. Both the teams, if you see, Bangladesh has lost to USA coming into this World Cup, and then got a heavy defeat in the practice game against India. So it will be a very interesting game, I think, because you probably are looking at from this group, this will be a second position for the Super 8s between these two teams. So it will be a good game, and eagerly waiting to see what happens.
Yes, as much as this is the first game of Bangladesh's World Cup campaign, Farvezz, even Sri Lanka have to approach this thinking of it as a first game. They have to forget what's happened in New York. They move now to Dallas, and the onus lies on the batters to turn up and start this campaign.
Absolutely. As I said, Sri Lanka is a massive game. It's the game that they have to win. And I would say going into this game, Sri Lanka will start as favorites with the past record and, everything what has happened before. But there will be a lot of nerves going into this game, knowing that they have to somehow win. And they'll be very happy to be in Dallas. We saw a couple of games up in Dallas. The pitch looks really good. The ground is not that bigger comparing to New York. So Sri Lanka is definitely up for it. Some selection dilemma as well. So hopefully they'll get that sorted. So just looking forward to a good game because, as you said, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh have always dished out interesting close games. So I'm looking forward to one of those games again.
Yeah, just before I bring Tamim back in, Farvezz, the batters who for you in terms of personnel hold the most responsibility? Conditions are so variable at this World Cup. Who are the most key batters for Sri Lanka in a bid to improve?
The conditions will be different. We saw the New York pitch was up and down, and the first game at Dallas, which was against USA, against Canada, the night game, the pitch looked really good and the ball was skidding onto the bat. So I reckon for Sri Lanka, I think I always keep saying Kusal Mendis in the top order holds the key. Last time in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh played a bilateral T20 series in Bangladesh. The pitches up in Sylhet had some grass, the ball was skidding on with some bounce, and Kusal Mendis managed to get some runs there. So I reckon if Kusal Mendis, gets a good start, he's someone to look out for. Overall, I think Sri Lanka has the batting power to get the 170, 180, which is needed in Dallas, but just about starting in the power play, that's been the problem. Even the two warm-up games against Ireland and Netherlands, that was the problem. Sri Lanka is losing too many wickets in the power play. So I reckon that's where the stability should come. And in case if that comes, I think Sri Lanka can apply a lot of pressure on the Bangladeshi bowling lineup.
Tamim, what was the feature of Sri Lanka's defeat was how troubled they were by the South African pacers in New York. Bangladesh came into this World Cup with a good-looking pace squad, But now, Shariful almost certain to miss, and Tashkin a 50-50 starter. How much does that affect Bangladesh's plans going into this?
This will be massive for Bangladesh because these two guys has been bowling brilliantly for last 2 years, and I believe Taskin will play. I think Bangladesh was saving him. He got injured just before the World Cup. Didn't play a part in the US series, and then didn't play in the first practice match. And I'm pretty sure that he's most likely to play. Not sure about Shariful. I think the way this game is going to be, and I think both the teams will approach quite differently where Bangladesh has been really good with the new ball, where Sri Lanka has to, it doesn't matter how many runs they score in the first six. If they don't lose too many early wickets, Sri Lanka can cash in the middle overs and the later part. Where Bangladesh has, if they have to be successful, they need to make sure that they need to get as many runs in the first 10 because in the middle overs you have Hasaranga and the later part you got Patirana. So both the teams will have to plan very differently and see what happens.
So, what would the ideal bowling combination be, Tamim, especially considering that for the spinners there is a greater challenge because the one night game we saw in Dallas, there was quite a bit of dew present.
Yes, I think still Bangladesh will go with if Shariful is not fit, they probably will go with either Hassan Mahmood or Tanzib Sakib, and then Mustafiz and Taskin will definitely play with one spinner in Shakib and Rishad and Mehdi, obviously.
Okay, since we've started that, how would you have the entire 11? Include the batters as well, and tell us who are the batters to keep an eye
See,
out.
I think it will be most likely the 11 that played against India. I think Tamim and Shomo will open. I think Litton might miss out. Shantu has to bat at 3, Shakib has bat at 4, and then Mahmudullah, Tohid Ridoy, Rishad, and all of those guys. I think Bangladesh will certainly play with the similar 11 that played against India.
Farvezz, same question for you. We have seen Sri Lanka once they fielded an 11 that's not the 11 you wanted to see. What do you want to see for this game?
I reckon from the last game, Sri Lanka will be thinking really hard to get the Dushman, the Chamira back into this team. And looking at the first game against USA, Canada, the dew was quite evident. So in that case, Sri Lanka might go with the extra pace option. That's what I think. And if that happens, I reckon Mahesh Theekshana might be a player who might miss out, especially looking at the conditions. And when it comes to batting lineup, I would say Sadira Samaravikrama looks a bit out of sort, even in the practice game and the last game as well. So that's something that Sri Lanka think tank will be thinking as well regarding whether to bring Dhananjay De Silva, his experience at number 4, or continue with Sadira Samaravikrama. So I reckon that's the headache Sri Lanka will have. But when it comes to the day-night game, dew might be a factor. I think it's always safe to have pace options because you need the extra pace. You have Dushman Shamir who can bowl 140, Matisha Padam could bowl 150, and Nuwan Tushar last time he played against Bangladesh, he picked up a hat trick and picked up 5 wickets with a new ball. So lots of positives going into this game, but it's all about how you start, whether you bat or bowl. As I said, Sri Lanka will be feeling the pressure much more than Bangladesh, knowing that they have to win this game to stay in the competition.
You're saying that Tikshana might miss out, but if you see the Bangladesh lineup, they have a lot of left-handers in the top 5. Do you think they'll still go for a fast bowling option and missing out will leave out Tikshana?
That's where the tricky question comes in. That's why I said Dhananjay De Silva bowls at off spinners, and he's quite good with his off spinners, especially in white ball cricket. So in case Tikshana misses out, because mostly Tikshana bowls carom ball deliveries, and we saw last time when Tikshana played against Bangladesh up in Ceylon, the Bangladeshi batters, especially the late order batters, the Mahmudullah Riyad, even Rishad Hossain, the leg spinner, quite severe against Mahesh Tikshana. So I'm saying this is a tactical move, seeing how the Dallas pitch behaves. He's just kidding on absolutely no turn at all. I mean, looking at the left-handers, so many left-handers. Yes, that's a good question. I would probably think leave out Sadira Samaravikrama, like a batsman who can bat at number 4, and most importantly, who's going to give you that off spinning option so that you can have Dushman Chamir in the pace attack and Wanindu Hasaranga and Dhananjay De Silva in the spin attack. So I think that will be a safe option going into this game.
All right, that's the setup complete. Then thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. There are lots of matchups to look out for. One that perhaps the whole world wants to see, which should play a part, is Shakib Al Hassan and Angelo Matthews. It should be fun, and that is where we call time out. Thank you so much, Farvezz, Mahroof, and Tamim Iqbal, for setting up Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh for us, a game that has a lot riding on it. South Africa have a win under their belt. Netherlands have a win under their belt. So both these sides know that while many might be calling Group C the group of death, if you don't get the right start in the tournament, this group could start becoming very ominous.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.